Hey, August Block here again. And I'm preparing this weekend probably for the last super long ride I'm going to be able to do before Paris-Brest-Paris. It's not a brevet route. It's a route that I created with a friend of mine. It's about 332 miles, and I'm gonna attempt something that I've never done before, which is to ride straight through the entire 332 miles. That should take me, the moving time on that should be about 22 hours, but I'm probably gonna need like three or 4 hours with my stops and controls and fueling up and resting. So I'm thinking I'd like to target 24 hours to do 332 miles. My big challenge on this ride is, one, to do that straight through, but the other one is to really care for my ass. Because that's the thing that's going to take me out. In fact, that's really what ended my ride in 2019. Well, there are many factors in terms of my mental preparation and my physical preparation, but that's really what ended my ride in 2019 at Paris-Brest-Paris, was that I had saddle sores where my skin was just peeling off. I couldn't sit. Every time I stood up and pulled my shorts away, it was just like raw flesh. I know that's gross, but so this time I have two strategies for staying in the saddle longer, and that is, one, I have an interval timer that reminds me to stand up for like 10 seconds every 10 minutes, and I'm gonna start running that from the very beginning. It's on my phone, and it just tells me to stand up. The second one is that I have some new saddle cream. I've tried chamois butter and buttonhole, and they're okay, but I'm trying a new one that a friend of mine recommended called Lanticeptic. It almost seems like medical. It has a medical type smell to it, but it's super thick. It's not gonna wash off easily with sweat or water. And then I'm just going to apply that every 50 miles. I'm gonna overdo it and just like make sure I don't get any chafing, or the best that I can. So let's just start getting ready. Thanks for watching. Good morning. It's about 4:30 a.m. Time to pack up and hit the road. Last night I got the bike all ready, so it's ready to roll. Now I just need to get dressed and head out. Good morning again. So I'm off now. I just took off. I got a little bit of a late start. I was hoping to get out at 5, but I got out around 5:48. I just wanted to make sure I had everything and double check all my nutrition, equipment, tools, etc. And I'm really looking forward to this ride, actually. Right now I'm saying that, of course, but I'm going to be riding for about 26 or 27 hours. So I'll check in on that sentiment in 15 to 20 hours and see how I feel then. It's going to be a fairly challenging day because the first 120 miles or so are really exposed. Like, there's no shade. There's a Suncoast Trail coming up at about 60 miles, and it's nice that it's a trail, but it has no cover, and it's gonna be a really warm day. Creeping up on 90 degrees, high humidity. So I'm just preparing myself mentally for that. But then once I get off that trail, it's gonna start to, ease up, and I get over to the Withlacoochee trail, and then that's gonna have some really nice canopy trail cover, and I'll be riding for most of this ride probably on the Withlacoochee trail. So that's really beautiful and peaceful, and so looking forward to that. So let's go ahead and get riding. Okay, thanks. Bye. All right, I'm just about to hit Tarpon Springs. I'm under 300 miles. It's 34.77, so under 300, so that's great. And it's starting to rain now, which means that it's going to be a lot cooler than it would be otherwise. So I'm excited about that. Maybe I'll get cloud cover when I hit the Suncoast Trail, and it won't be as oppressive as it normally is. So I'm going to take a little detour up here as I just come into Tarpon Springs. I'm going to turn off and go over to the sponge docks because I want to show you this. If you look here, you'll see all of the old sponging boats. A lot of them are still active today. So the brief history of that is that in the early 1900s, the sponging industry was kind of taking off, and it was pretty big here in Tarpon Springs, Florida. But the way of collecting sponges in the Gulf of Mexico was with like a long spear or skin diving, and that had come up. That style of harvesting sponges had come up from Cuba. It was mostly Cubans working out Tarpon Springs sponging, but they really couldn't go out very deep. The boats they were using wouldn't hold a lot, and they couldn't stay down very long, and collect enough sponge to supply the market. So some industrious person, I can't remember his name right now, he had heard that in the Dedekaneza Islands in Greece, I think I'm saying that correctly, there is a sponging tradition as well, and that the spongers there had underwater equipment, basically the predecessor to scuba gear in some respects, where they had an oxygen line that went all the way up to the boat, and they could stay down and go as deep as they needed to and stay down as long as they needed to and harvest sponges. So he started hiring spongers from Greece to come to Tarpon Springs and work in the burgeoning sponging industry here. And word got out that there was an opportunity, and sponging took off. The harvests were huge, and this community exploded. And so now today, at the time, there still is a huge Greek community in Tarpon Springs and around Tarpon Springs and in Pinellas County generally. And it was really part of the cultural landscape growing up here, is that, there's a big Cuban and Greek cultural element where anyone who grew up in Pinellas County, grew up hearing Greek music and eating Greek food and visiting Tarpon Springs. And so You see here all of these old fishing boats. Some of these are famous. And Tarpon Springs is just beautiful, you know, brick-lined streets and Victorian houses. It's just a great little enclave here in central Florida on the Gulf Coast. So thought you'd like a little detour there. Check something out like that. You know, that's really part of the allure of randonneuring, you know, is that you're actually touring and seeing places and experiencing new things from a different perspective. So there you have it. So I'm just entering the Brooker Creek Preserves. Yeah, get away from all of the city and town stuff. Off the roads. Probably be off this for a little while. Spanish moss is so, you know, it's kind of haunting and wonderful. Something special about Central Florida. Florida in general has this really unique quality to it. Hit my 50-mile mark. It's raining, so I'm definitely going to apply this Lanticeptic again. Every 50 miles, I'm gonna save my butt this time. We're coming up here on Starkey Market. I love this place. It's just such a great little country store. Nice place to fuel up and catch your breath for a second. Okay, now I'm entering the Starkey Wilderness Park. It's really just beautiful through here. The last time I rode through here with a group of randonneurs in the middle of the night, technically you're not supposed to ride through there, but it was closed off because there was a giant pig hunt. They had hunting dogs out here. I've never even seen hogs out here, but it was crazy. There just dogs everywhere. They stopped us, but you know, we had to keep on trucking. It's still kind of cool. It's just a really nice park out here. Okay, so I'm just hitting the Suncoast Trail, and it's a great trail. You know, it's uninterrupted, paved, some really nice scenery. But on other days, it can be pretty punishing because there's very little shade. This section of it's about 50 miles. It can just be really stark, and then there's a freeway that runs right along the side, so it can be loud and hot, and then it hits rollers up there, so it can be unpleasant sometimes. But today, kind of lucked out. One, it's Saturday, so traffic's a little bit lighter, and it's raining, so it's cool, and no, you know, obviously cloud cover. So I think I kind of lucked out, and maybe this will stay with me till I get off the trail in about, I guess, maybe 50 miles. All right. This right here is, I like to call it the Tree of Souls. And I think that a lot of people hang these chimes on this tree when somebody passes. I only assume that because of the crosses and some of the sentiments that are here. It's quite beautiful, and when the wind runs through it, it's just like celestial. Alrighty, that's 100 miles. Time for another application of Lanticeptic. Also, I got hit by that rain and it washed off my drivetrain. I applied White Lightning dry again, but I did that intentionally. I knew I might get some rain, so I bought more of it. The reason I didn't use the White Lightning wet is because it's just disgusting. It picks up so much filth that it's just very hard to get clean, and it's, you know, throws it all over your, oh, that's my time to stand up timer. It just gets so dirty that it throws it all over your bike. So if I don't have to use the wet, I won't. But I don't think I'm gonna put new lube on my chain right now because I see some rain off in the distance that might be coming my way. So here, take a look. All right, the rain's coming down now. I'm getting hit. Big wind too. Well, I mean, at least it's keeping me cool. A lot of fun in some respects. Keeping me pretty wet though. I don't have to lube my chain. Yeah, big wind out here now. Well, right now it's just a little front coming in. Okay. Yeah, I'll try to give you a shot of this weather if you can't make it out currently. So I'm here at my sort of first control. It's at about 115 miles. You can see I'm wearing these things on the outside because the last time I wore them I had kind of a latex like strap on them, and it stuck to my skin and it ripped my skin off. So I wear them on the outside now. But I'm going to take this opportunity to lube my chain and put on some sunscreen and try to make it in less than 12 minutes. My friend Sean will be so proud that I put a drop on every single connection here. I used to just spew it on there. He was appalled. I carefully lube every link. All right, leaving my first, maybe one and only control. I'm off. Great, I just turned onto the Withlacoochee State Trail. And finally I get some shade. That last like 6 or 7 miles is just not a single bit of shade and direct sunlight. But now it's all canopy and covered and cooled off a lot. I'm going to show you some of this really nice canopy here right now. So I'm feeling it now. Not about 135 miles, but all the canopy and the cloud cover has gone away. And the heat is just crushing me right now. Just gonna push through for another 15 miles or so, and there'll be a turnaround. And I can fill up my water bottles and catch my breath for a second and then head back out. Oh, let's do it. Hey. Coming into Dunellen here, getting a nice break, some tree cover. Just got to go over the river there. Florida is just so unique in its nature, so diverse. Love it. So this is what's at the trailhead at the top, the turnaround. Alright, I didn't know this was here. So I made it all the way to Rainbow River, and right at the turnaround, there's this ramp that goes right into Rainbow River, and it's just amazing. Oh my God. The water's like 70 degrees. It's just crystal clear. What a nice break. Florida heat's not letting up. I'm at about 160 miles. I had to stop and get some water because I don't know when the next opportunity is. The Withlacoochee Trail goes for another 40 or 50 miles and then back up. And I don't know if there are any water stops along the way. So, oh yeah, and I got my double shot espresso again. Damn, that is so good. Alrighty, I'm at 187 miles. I'm at the southern trailhead of the Withlacoochee Trail. That was a nice last, dang, that was a nice last 25 miles. The temperature, I mean, has really cooled off. I mean, it's still hot as hell and very humid, but it's doesn't have the beating sun that it had. So I'm gonna stop for a second. If I can get this burrito open, I'm gonna eat the burrito. And then even though it's not quite 200, I'm gonna do another Lanticeptic because I jumped in the river. And my shorts got pretty wet. And even though I applied it afterwards, geez, this thing is childproof. There we go. Even though I applied it afterwards, I want to make sure I keep it fresh. So I'm going to hang here for a minute and then hit the road. You know, it's a pretty nice rig right here. Looks good. Even though the two different colored tires was an accident, it looks pretty cool. With the bag. Yeah, sharp. And it's fast. It's a fast bike. And super light. I mean, relative. It's not carbon, but yeah, cool. I'm back at this Circle K here, and I had to fuel up water. I'm at 215 miles, which means I have 115 left to go. It's 10:53 at night. I had to really stock up on the water. I got a little extra because I may not find services for, could be up to 75 miles. And it's cooler out. I mean, it's not cool because it's Florida, but you know, it's weird riding at night sometimes. I like it because you're kind of in like a in a zone, like you're kind of, you know, it's, I don't know how to describe it, but I also tend to hallucinate and you know, see animals and shadows and mythic creatures and shit like that. So that's kind of weird sometimes, but it ought to keep the temperature way down. And all right, so let's close this thing out. 115 miles to go. Pretty dark out here. There are tons of stars out. It's quite pretty. It's quiet. I'm getting quite toasted. It's about 240 miles and I'm really feeling it. So I don't know what time it is exactly, but I think it's probably close to midnight, maybe 11. And started at 6, so 6 to 6 would be 12, 10. I can't even do the math. That's where my brain is so fried right now. Maybe I'll get a second wind here in a minute. I'm going to show you some more of the trail here, and you tell me if you have any hallucinations, see any mythic creatures. All right. So, starting to feel quite a bit better. It's about 12:45 a.m. I think I just needed to get through those like 30 or 40 miles of rollers, and now that it's kind of leveling out, I'm starting to feel quite a bit better. So that's good. I passed the 250 or 260 mark just a little bit ago, so I think I have about 77 miles to the house. Knock it out. Knock it out. Alrighty. It's 3 a.m. I'm at 283.6 miles. I'm just gonna rest for a second and grab my last burrito and fuel up for I got about 50 miles left to get home. I'm feeling okay, except that the EFS stuff, it's like that I was using for fuel, it's new for me. And it gave me a headache and caused my neck to cramp up, so I, stopped using it. So that's the only setback. My battery is not charging my phone, so this may be my last video of the series until I get back to the house. So if it is, it's really been great telling you about my ride, and I will give you an update when I get back to the house. 50 miles, it's 3 a.m., 50 miles should take around 3 hours. So it's 3 now. I should get home. Well, I'm kind of beat, so maybe it's more than that. So I should get home by 7 a.m. Okay, let's just eat the burrito and head out. Okay, I'm at 300 miles now. That's the furthest I've ever ridden in one session without any sleep or rest of any kind. So that's a new personal record for me. But I have to stop for a minute. I'm just getting eaten up. So I'm gonna sit here in Tarpon Springs on this bench for 15 or 20 minutes. And then I'm gonna close out the remaining 30, 35 miles. Okay. All right, so the sun's coming up now. It's around 6 a.m., a little before. So I'm right at 24 hours riding. Probably got another hour to go. So I'm moving pretty well right now. The sky is so pretty, so blue. All right, let's just close this thing out. Okay, I am in the home stretch. Here we go. Let's bring this thing in. Alrighty, here we go. All right, all done. Can't believe it. So that was an adventure for sure. I would say I did exactly what I intended to do, which was to test two things. One, my conditioning with sleep deprivation, if I can extend my sleep deprivation. And two, I can care for my butt better with the interval timer, with the Lanticeptic, and I think that's it. Oh, and I also got some new bibs. So I think I did 330. I don't know, I think it's 334 miles. Moving time was like 22 hours and 14 minutes, but I think the overall time was like 26 hours straight through. I did not sleep at all. I think what I learned was that I shouldn't do that. I'm not ready to do that at Paris-Brest-Paris. So I think physically I was strong, but then when I got down to the wire there, I should have just I think I'm just gonna go to Loudeac, 278 miles. I'm gonna sleep 2 or 3 hours, and I'm gonna go to Brest and back to Loudeac, sleep for 2 or 3 hours, and then take it home to Paris. I've been thinking this whole time that I would go straight through to Brest and sleep there, and then straight back and do it in 2 trips. But given my experience today, I don't think that that's a good idea. Additionally, there may have been some mitigating factors because I've been trying to lean down because I haven't been comfortable with my weight around 180. I took a measurement of my body fat, and it was like 22.8, and I think I really want it between 12 and 15%. So before this ride, I kind of started leaning out a little bit, and I did not carb load. So when I go to Paris-Brest-Paris, I am gonna carb load like a mother. Well, anyway, thanks for coming along with me. That was one heck of a journey. I'm going to piece it all together and see what kind of data I can come up with, and what kind of lessons I learned. Thank you so much. See you next round.